So hi everyone, I'm just going to very quickly bring you through the process of adding a quiz onto a Moodle page. Okay, so basically you obviously log in, you scroll down and you turn your turn editing on. Okay, so you get the option to add in your activities. Okay, and basically you're just going to click on whatever topic you want to add it in under. You just click on add an activity resource. It doesn't really matter because you can actually move them around afterwards if need be. Okay, so this brings up all the different activities and resources that you can add to your Moodle page. For example, your assignment where you can get students to submit work. You have your quiz that we're going to look at, but more likely to use would be things like the file where you're uploading a file, or your URL if you're linking to a website, or if, for example, you might want to embed video on your Moodle page and you'd use a label, but we'll look at that later. Okay, so we want a quiz, and again it tells you what it does for you. Basically it can be used as course exams, etc., self-assessment, or for revision is what I would normally use them for. So just click on add. Okay, and you just put in, a quiz name. So for example, okay, and if you wanted to put in a description, for example, that this should be done on such and such day, or please complete. Okay, if you do put in a description of some sort, this will not display on your Moodle page unless you tick the box here, please display description on course page. Okay, a few things you can look at if you were, for example, enabling these functions where you wanted to be only open at a certain time and to close at a certain time, to limit the length of time they could actually spend on the quiz. This is where you look under timings. Okay, now the default is that it's just open all the time and does not disable. Okay, and there's no time limit, but if you were doing it for assessment for example, you might want to change that. The other thing you might look at things like is whether or not there's going to be unlimited attempts allowed. Okay, so again, if it's for revision purposes, generally the default unlimited is perfect, but if you were going to do it for as a part of your assignment, for example, then you might change that to be one attempt only or whatever. And the other couple of things is whether or not a page, every question, the default is fine. And the other thing is the shuffle within questions. So these are all your defaults, and that's set. So in other words, the questions will shuffle at the same person, or different people won't get the same question at the same time. You imagine in a classroom where they'll actually have different questions in front of them at different times. So once you've kind of looked at the settings and you're happy, again, as I said, generally not to be changed, then you click on your save and display option. Save and return to course will just bring you back to the quiz. This is just a quicker way of getting the option to edit your quiz. Okay, so basically you can see there's no questions have been added, so you want to just go in now and edit your quiz so that you can add in some. Okay, again you have the shuffle option here. Okay, so if it hasn't been ticked by default, you can set it there, and we're just going to add. Okay, now you can add a new question, which is what we're going to start off with. You can add from a question bank, so if you had existing questions that you'd used in previous quizzes that you wanted to pull in here, or you can add a random question basically. Okay, so we're just going to pick in a new question, and again you can see you have lots of different options. There's like 15 different options: drag and drop, embedded answers. You can have an essay, so here you want them to actually write maybe a paragraph on something. Obviously that would have to be graded manually. You have matching exercises, you have multiple choice. Okay, we're going to work with a multiple choice in a minute, but you also have things like where you can put in a short answer, select the missing words, or true or false. So these are the kind of ones that down here that you tend to use more often. We'll go with a multiple choice for now. We're just going to click on add. Okay, now it's default. This is where it basically, this is our course that I'm currently on, the default for technology enhanced learning, so that's fair enough. If you know what the questions are related to, so for example for me now for teaching tort law, I would always tend to give my question name something that would link it back to tort, so I'd call it like tort 01. Okay, now this is for just a practice quiz. I'm just going to go pre-Q, so I'm just going to call it PQ 01. Okay, and this is where you put in the actual question. So let's just put in easy question, when is St. Patrick's Day. Okay, you can have general feedback, which is just for the whole lot. You can have more than one answer. So you might, for example, obviously this is a one answer question, but you know, pick two of the following. Okay, so in that case, you would have to change this here to allow for multiple answers, basically. At the moment, again, our answer is 1. Okay, this is also a good handy thing to have as shuffle the choices. In other words, that if two students are doing the same question by chance at the same time, that the answers won't be the same. So you know that the A, B, C, D will have different answers depending on who's doing it. Okay, so this is where you put in your answers. So generally because you have this shuffle, I always tend to put in my correct answer first. So let's just go 17th March. Okay, and obviously there's only one answer, so we're going to give that 100% of a grade. If you were saying that there was more than one answer, you would grade them, you know, 50-50 or whatever, 33-33-33. Okay, so let's go with the next choice. And obviously that's a wrong answer, so we don't give it any grade. Okay, and that's 3. So 3. So you're given 5 choices by default. You can put in more, but generally 4 really suppose is enough. Save your changes, and there's your question. Okay, now if you'd realised you made a spelling mistake, you can just go and edit it here by clicking on that little editing wheel. You can see there that it tells you that it's a multiple choice question. If you wanted to give it more weighting, you could just go over here and change the weighting here to be 2 or 3 or whatever. Okay, so we're just going to do one more, and again, same again. This time we're going to just do true or false. And I know you can see it there, it's the add option. I'm just clicking on there. And same again, so we're just going to go PQ2, practice quiz 2, question 2 I should say, question text. So what I was trying to do is always put in true or false. First of all, true or false, and then if you go down here, so is the correct answer true or false? So yeah, Christmas Day is on the 25th of December, so you change this sentence to be true. Okay, and obviously if you want to put in individual feedback, you can. Okay, and then save your changes. Okay, so there you see the 2 questions, and you can see the difference. That's a multiple choice one, and this one is a true or false. Okay, so the last thing I'm just going to do is add a question from one of my other question banks. So just click on add again, and this time option from question bank. Okay, and you can see that these are some other questions I had created previously for just as a practice here. Okay, so basically here's a tort question here, true or false. So I'm going to just tick those 2 and say add selected questions to the quiz. So it's handy if you have them already set up, you can pull them in very, very quickly. Okay, but obviously you have to have them set up. Now if you have them set up on a different Moodle page, it's possible to export all the questions from a different page and import them here, and then you'll have access to them all there within your question bank. Okay, once you're happy with that, yes, we've got 4 questions. We're just going to click on it to do it. So up here at the top, if we click on it, it will give us an option to attempt the quiz now. Okay, so when it's St. Patrick's Day, we can see we've got 4 questions over here, and we can see our progress as we work our way through them. Okay, true or false, Christmas Day on the 25th. Okay, we're just going to answer one of these incorrectly, just to show you what the difference is, and true or false because it's okay. Once you're finished, you can return to the attempt. Again, this is depending on whether or not you've allowed the student to return to the attempt, but generally what we do is we do allow it. Okay, so they can go back and check their answers before they actually submit, but once they click on submit all and finish and then confirm it, that's it, done. And you can see, oh, I did it right, we have 1 incorrect answer. Okay, now the good thing, it shows you your marks. It shows you how long it took you to do it. It shows you that you got the correct answer, okay? But it also shows you then where you've got the incorrect answer, okay? Basically, and it'll tell you here, it'll always tell you what the correct answer is, similar to this one, okay? And that's how you set up a quiz. And if you go back to your main page, you can see it's set there.